Force on Force features the largest and strongest outdoor military organization in the country. These are the men and women who make it possible to enjoy the freedom to hunt and fish. It is with great pride that we bring you Force on Force podcast, coming to you from the Force on Force Talk.
Hey, welcome to the Force on Force Talk, guys. Welcome back. We're enjoying this new era and all the stuff we do here for the all the brands, Army Bass, hog hunting, buck hunting, and Army Redfish. I'm Shawn Dalrymple, guys, and Force on Force Talk, for us, we all start in the military in a tactical operations center. All our shows start here, and it's kind of a staple for us, but also for our military career. Having Danny Jackson with me today from Army Redfish. How you doing, Danny?
Doing good. Everything's going well.
And we call it the Tactical Operations Center, but we got to have two Marines on with us in a little bit, and they got to do everything a little bit different. They call it the Tactical Operation Command. They're always got to be a little bit different from us. So we'll talk a little bit about them when they come on. But, it's been a pretty exciting year so far. We've had a lot of fun, from talking redfish to hunting stuff to, I've been off to ATA and SHOT Show, and we cover so many aspects of the outdoors. I mean, I'm at SHOT Show, and you're messaging me, Danny, to go by and talk to certain companies looking for stuff and things like that. That's what's cool about what we do across the organization, right? So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm in the middle of building, and so it's like, hey, swing over here and talk to this company. So yeah, it's cool.
But I thought it was kind of cool to we just got back from filming the Bass Show down in Florida, and I kind of wanted to get you guys on, because you guys are airing on the Sportsman's Channel with Army Redfish. Episode 6 is kind of airing right now, and I got to give you guys a little bit of a secret. I got to go red fishing for the first time with Eric Wilkes, who's one of our bass guys, but he was also on the Redfish Show, and we're going to talk to him a little bit on the way back from Florida. And so I would tell you guys, it was a lot of fun, but it's not as easy as everybody might think it out to seem to be. We saw a lot of fish, and we got some fish to turn on some baits, and the weather just wasn't quite cooperative out there. So it's a lot of good stuff. So it was pretty exciting. And for me, it was really neat because I got to ride in those Mayak boats for the first time, and it was really cool. Eric took me back up in some stuff that was, about pretty shallow stuff, and we got up in there, and to kind of experience that for the first time was really cool.
Very nice. Gotta get you down here at Corpus, and then I'll show you what really shallow is. Eric the best. But yeah, the redfish is a lot of fun. It's definitely a different game. I always say a 5-pound red will pull a 10-15-pound bass backwards any day of the week.
Yes. So as far as the show's going right now, let the listeners know where we're kind of at and how it's kind of setting up right now, and where we're at with this season.
Yeah, so episode 6 just aired it started on Wednesday. Of course, it airs Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. So we still got a couple more days for it to air for season 6 or episode 6. Episode 6 sets up the finalists for the national championship. The Marines that we are about to bring on board onto the podcast, they were in episode 5. They made the round. They're going to the finals. So a couple jarheads somehow put it together. It's crazy. I had this conversation the other day. These two guys are nowhere near the waters that they fished. Literally nowhere near the waters they fished. One of them, saltwater guy, Eric, he's top notch. The other guy, Bill, top notch dude. But he called me. He's like, hey, so the sightcast stuff, like, can you help me out with it? And I'm like, you're going to be with a pro. You're going to be with somebody that can take care of you. Like, you're going to learn a lot. And that wasn't just him. That was like across the board. We brought in some bass guys that's never been in the redfish world. So it's a little different element. We get to sightcast a lot more than what you guys do. The bass guys do sightcast, but it's just a different element, different style of fishing. But yeah, it's awesome. So that's where we're at now. Episode 6 set up for the finals. Next week we have the national championship, and it's obviously hosting it. I know the results. I know everything that happened. 5 and 6 were great episodes. 7's going to be phenomenal as well. So yeah, it's really cool, really exciting to see everything come to fruition.
Well, I guess let's bring those guys on. Welcome Eric and Bill onto the show. Two guys, and I think what's really cool is you're going to see both of these guys not just on Army Redfish, but you're going to see Eric on the bass Force on Force. And then you're going to see Bill on the Buck Hunters Force on Force. So welcome, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
So we wanted to have you guys on there to kind of talk about episode 5 because it sets up you guys going to championship. You know, you guys caught a lot of fish. I got to watch it with Eric down in Panama City the other day. I went down there and come back from the fishing show. Eric, if you guys don't know, Eric guides down now out of Panama City, Simplified Charters, and does a wonderful job. So I'm like going to stop in there. So I got to watch episode 5 and see the highs and lows of episode 5. So there's a lot going on there. And so I kind of let Danny kind of unpack it with these guys and kind of talk about, you know, because this is what we kind of wanted to do with this podcast is talk about the things that we couldn't talk about in 22 minutes of airtime, some of the more finite details of how that all kind of went down. So Danny, I'll just let you kind of go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to kind of back up just a hair.
Yeah.
Back up. Just
Go back to the first episode.
Yeah,
for Mr. Bill Boop. Let's go back
throw
there.
me under the bus.
So
I wasn't going to do that, Bill. I tried to keep it fine.
I know.
I'll do it in a heartbeat.
That's all good.
So it's hilarious. I'm back
It
at the
is pretty
dock
fun.
and we get this radio. Hey, we need another mic. I'm like, wait, what? And then I hear, oh, somebody fell in the water. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Let's figure this out. To what boat? Oh, it's the marine boat. Oh, shocker. They just couldn't stay out of the water. What happened, Bill?
You know, Marines are amphibious too.
Yeah. So what happened? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think we were in the flats, night fishing. The sun had come up, so we were able to see a little better. I was running a popping cork, one of our 4 horsemen popping corks, and just working that, and end up catching a decent trout. Well, when I went to remove the artificial, which I was running an artificial shrimp, and he ended up having a live shrimp in his mouth too. I thought it was kind of neat, so I went to go show our camera guy Cody the fish, and as I went to I stepped on the edge of the boat instead of stepping down into the boat, and my left foot just was flipped off. And at that point I'm thinking, well, I could grab the side of the boat and risk breaking a rib, or I could just fall off in the boat. So I fell off the boat, and I chucked my rod and the fish inside the boat. And I will tell you, I wasn't even that mad about it because it was stinking hot.
No.
I was sweating from top to bottom, and when I fell in the water, I was like, well, at least it's cool, but I was upset about ruining that mic pack, but luckily it was a rental. So,
Yeah, right.
But the great thing is my partner said, you know, Marine down, no Marine left behind, so he wasn't going to leave me. So, yeah, at least I knew he had my back.
We weren't
I
always
leaving
tell
you.
everybody. Yeah. I
Hey,
always
and
tell
don't,
everybody.
don't feel bad, Bill. You're not the first person to ever fall in on Force on Force. So, just so you know.
I always tell everybody, if you fall in, just stand up, because we're pretty
absolutely.
shallow. You can always see the bottom for the most part where we fish. Which
Yeah.
is kind of a cool thing about it. And hey, you can see the fish most of the time too. Yeah, that's hilarious. So for those that listen and they're not familiar with the saltwater boats, so if you're a traditional bass guy, you don't have a gunnel really on a bass boat, right? Everything slopes off. Everything's kind of aerodynamic will have you on a bass boat. So where a flats boat or the boats that we run, there's a gunnel. It's, you know, between 8 and 10 inches wide all the way around the boat. So we walk on them all the time. So instead of stepping on the gunnel where you can walk, it's just like walking an I-beam more or less. He stepped in the water.
Yeah. So I did catch the gunnel, but I only caught about half my foot on the gunnel.
Right.
So my toes pointed towards the water. So the body said, this is where we're going. So
That's funny.
but yeah, it was definitely refreshing. I was no longer hot.
That was the first thing he said. At least I'm not hot anymore.
Yep. It was hot that day for sure. So fast forward to, you guys fished twice before going to the championship. You fished that round where you fell in the water, and then we went to the next round and had some more excitement out of the marine boat. First off, I guess, because there's a lot left out. There's a lot of info left out between, you know, the show's only so long, right? And you had 4.5 hours to fish, so there's 4.5 hours of footage out there. There's a lot that transpires in that 4.5 hours, and we can only get out the best pieces of it. Of course, we got two really good pieces from you guys in the first episode that you were on and the second episode that you were gone. So if you saw episode 5, then you saw what happened, right? It was best said. No, that does not happen. Eric was like, no, it doesn't happen. Bill's like, it's fine. No, it doesn't happen. So Eric, I'll let you kind of talk about that whole piece and kind of wrap around exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. So we started off the morning and just fishing a flat. The sun kind of came up, and so we made a move. We'd already had one really nice fish in the live well. So we made a move, and we just kind of started checking some drains, and all of a sudden there was just a big school of redfish, and got a little excited. We calmed down there, and Bill threw up, and he said, "I got one," and I said, "Yes, you do." So off the tower I came. I got down below, and at least we had a dip net this time. So that was the plus. You guys didn't see that or hear.
Apparently, Marines don't do PCCs and PCIs.
So we didn't check. So we didn't have a dip net on.
But we
the
did get
first
it in the
one
boat
either.
We
did. We hogged it right on in. So we do have a dip net this time. We scoop up the fish, and me not thinking, cameraman's kind of back behind us, and I'm like, well, I'm going to get a really good picture of measuring this fish. So what did I do? I set it right up on the front bow of the boat and got ready to measure it. And that redfish flipped, and I could not catch it. I did everything. It went underneath the tower, so I could not get to it, and it flipped off in the water. Just if we're bass fishing, if we're red fishing, we don't set fish up on the decks. Hey, this is awesome view right here. He can get a picture and get a shot of it. And it was a big fish too. It was definitely the biggest fish of the event. So needless to say, we lost it. I looked up at Bill. I said, I'm coming back up. They're still right there. We made 2 more casts, and we hooked into another one, got it in the boat, and we decided to just leave the area.
Where'd you check the measurement on that one?
I think it was, 20.
No, where did you put the fish in the check stick to measure that one?
It was down in the floor.
Yeah.
We made sure we checked in the floor.
So he learned from his mistake.
Yeah, I learned big time.
I'm up in the tower still because he's checking it, and I'm already back in the water. I'm like, I'm just going to keep fishing, see if we can get a little better fish in because he had a really good one. He had a 24 and a half. That was, I think he was 4 pounds. He's a big pig. And so I'm like, well, I'll just keep going. Maybe we can call one or something. And all I hear is no. And I kind of look down, and I see him just put his hands in his head, and he's like, man, I was like, hey, it's all right. No, it's not. Hey, it's all right. Let's just keep fishing. Get back over here. Let's go. We got to keep going.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to keep grinding when something crazy happens. Yeah. But yeah, as Eric said, again, that does not happen.
Yeah.
You got 2 fish limit on a redfish tournament, and one of your fish gets thrown out the boat.
So we made good footage, and it was just awesome. From day one, we said, hey, there's 2 Marines here. Here we go. Let's battle this. And who did he draw? And all he kept telling me was he had learned so much, and we just put everything together, and it was an event that I'll never forget. And, coming to Corpus, being from Florida, it was really different. I had no days to practice. So it was a grind. And I can tell you, it was just a fun event, and we had a blast.
Yeah, I that whole time, like Danny was saying, I was calling him, I was texting him, hey, I want to try to get together and go fish, because I'm trying to prepare, I'm trying to do, because I don't want to show up and look like a complete tool, And I can do that on my own. I don't want help with that.
Then you draw the other. Then you draw the other Marine.
No, I was stoked. I'll tell you what. When what was funny is Eric and I met in the shop there at Marker 37, and they're like, "Yeah, this guy's a Marine too," and we were jokingly saying, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we drew each other and get to go out and fish together?" And that's sure enough what happened. So we had an absolute ball. I learned a ton of stuff from him, and just the whole organization from top to bottom with the Redfish guys, just everything was top notch. I mean, the whole show, everything was well, it flowed smooth. There was some waiting around and whatnot, but that's normal. You're just trying to make sure you're there so that when they need you, you can get back out and do what you need to do. And so, I mean, but being Danny's first one, I know you talked to you, Shawn, quite a bit, and trying to make sure what went. But I mean, it went well. Everything went smooth. It was a whole lot of fun. I know Eric had just bought his Mayak, and so Danny let us use his to fish, and and I've already convinced my wife once we're ready, that's what we're getting. Because I was like, babe, I'm staying on top of this tower and fishing and no movement. Everything's so stable. And it's funny, we're fishing that, I don't remember his round, if it was the championship or the fifth round. And I hear this hollering when we're going through the channel and underneath the bridge, and it's my family. They're on the Dolphin Tour boat, and we're going, that's my wife, my youngest daughter, my oldest daughter, two of my grandsons. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then we're fishing later on a tower, and they're hollering at us as they go by again. I was like, dude, that just made my whole weekend. That was awesome.
Yeah. Hey, I do think it was funny. I think one thing you forgot to mention was the special lures that you guys got at the beginning of the show. I mean, I noticed that the other team had some special Marine lures for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they took a little swim bait, probably like I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inch. I don't know. It was pretty small swim bait, and duct taped a crayon to the top of it, and that's actually what we caught our big fish on.
They just don't know we caught them on it.
I found those in my boat later on.
I know. I actually forgot. I was like, crap! I forgot that. I was going to break that home, and I was going to show my family. I was like, check this out.
We were going to make a trophy out of those.
Absolutely,
it didn't happen.
Well, I mean, that's what it's all.
Another crown meltdown.
Yeah, I mean that was a fun episode to watch. I mean, I think it sets up kind of, you guys go into the championship round, and every ounce kind of matters, and what you do on the water, and what I think is important is for the viewers. I don't care whether it's the bass side, the buck side, or the redfish side. I think we all kind of, when you get those cameras in your face, you do things that you normally wouldn't do out there on the water.
Yeah, 100%.
And like you don't think you're like, and you can't go back, and once it's over and done with, you can't go back and change it, because I mean it happened, and it's filming, and it's 4 hours, and that's what makes it realistically and what goes on. I think that's what's kind of cool, and I love seeing that, and then I know, I'm sure it was a long ride back to the dock, especially after losing that fish, because then you don't know, is that going to cost you or not, and it's kind of a big stress on you riding back to know if the other team's going to get you in that mistake you made on the water, and you just, it's kind of frustrating. So I know, but so it's kind of fun because I got to see it for the first time sitting on Eric's couch the other day, and he still was like, that don't happen. That don't happen. So
yeah. So he said, I thought I was going to throw up, and I said, well, could have chumped.
I did. I thought I was going to throw up.
Yeah.
It was.
It's
but the feeling that bad.
Well, and like I said, we were fortunate enough to continue, just keep grinding. Like you said, I never came off the tower. He immediately, it took him a second to regroup, but then he's right back up on the tower. And we just went, we just steady throwing. We could kind of see him. So we're trying to put that bait to where they can get to it. And we jokingly said, I caught both of those off of color they call Beer Run. I'm like, that's perfect fish. That's perfect bait.
No, I gotta say that the tower thing's pretty neat. I got to do it for the first time of the day. We were laughing because Archer was down in the boat, and he was trying to figure out what we was doing up there, and me and Eric were up there in the tower fishing, and is pretty cool up there sight fishing from the tower. So I'm looking forward to doing that a little bit more and getting to explore that because, we only had a short amount of time to do it the other day, and I can see how that could be a lot of fun, getting to do that and seeing those fish, up there like that. So I'm pretty excited. I'm excited to see how this championship round kind of comes out next week and kind of sets up for a battle because there can only be the first, right? And whoever has the distinction of that, right, Danny?
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. So if you've seen the episode, even if you haven't, the interesting parties in the final, like there's no Army guys in it. And I can't tell you how many guys that weren't part of it. And they're like, man, I just wish the Army would have made it. I wish the Army would have made it. And the Army couldn't put it together. So it is what it is kind of thing. So it's definitely a water crew that made the championship round. And we're doing something cool. We mentioned the championship ring several times over throughout the show. Those are still in design right now. I've been watching this thing come to fruition through everything that I put into it for the championship ring. It's different. It's very cool, and it is definitely one of a kind.
That's
And
awesome.
It's I think, once the champions are announced and they get their rings in season 2, I think everybody's going to turn it up. Like the game's going to change and everybody's going to turn it up. These things they're one of a kind. They're special, and they've been literally in design. We got the 3D prints and all that stuff. That's been going on for, I don't know, 4 months, like if not longer. So it's cool. It's cool seeing it all come together, and yeah, I'm ready for that piece of it. Like,
Well, it's pretty exciting. I know I'm proud of you guys and how hard work and seen a lot for this to come to fruition. I know, this is the cool thing, what we're doing with the podcast to kind of, share all these behind the scenes stories. And I mean, I'm so excited to kind of do that from what we do, because I think there's a lot of stuff to be told, like these little stories behind there as we move on. We got a lot going for us going on. We're starting to get into show season for us. Next week, I know you guys are airing the championship round, and as the championship round's airing, we're taking off to Indianapolis on the bass side and buck side to do an 8-day show. So we'll be at the Indianapolis Boat and Sports Show for 8 days up there, which is a big event for us. I know Danny's getting ready to kick off all his events down there on the coast. And then, we got the Red Crest and the Bassmaster classes that'll come up pretty quickly for us. So it gets to be a really busy time for us, but that's what we do, and we enjoy it, and we get a lot of really cool interaction with fans. This is the part, Danny, I think you're not really ready for yet. I'll share this a little bit with the listeners. I can't tell you, we were down there filming the bass show last week, the number of people that pull into the parking lot and we're like, hey, I watch the show all the time. I'm still humbled by it every time that happens. And it's really, really cool. And we're down there filming, and all the guys are out there fishing, and me and Chuck are back there, and they were like, oh, I watch the show all the time. I watch the show all the time. And so, after this, it'll be so pretty exciting for you to kind of get to experience that, because it's really rewarding for all the hard work that you guys have put in on the redfish side of the house. And I can't say enough to appreciate Eric and Bill being on here to share the good, the bad, and the ugly.
yep.
That's why we have
appreciate
Marie.
you having on.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks for having this on.
I had a buddy of mine send me a picture. He was watching the show, and it's a picture of me and Eric up on the tower, and I'm hooked up, pole bent over, and he sends me a text. He goes, I might have to get a autograph from you. It's
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's a lot of fun, and I think that's what we're really all about, sharing the stories and the military moments, and it's good. So we just encourage everybody to continue to listen, watch us every quarter on the Sportsman channel. And guys, if you want to know more about Army Buck, Army Hog, Army Redfish, Army Duck, Army Bass, just go to forceonforcetv.com. And we appreciate you guys tuning in for the podcast. Thanks. Cool.
rock.
Thanks for listening to the Force on Force podcast. Join us next time as we dive into more topics from the Force on Force talk. For more information or to learn how to join the organization, visit our website at forceonforcetv.com.